Hey guys, welcome to KOZ TV. This episode is a special episode because I'm TJ Greaney, this is Rick McGee, and we have special guest Don Disco. He's a KOZ HTL from Vertical Chapel
Yes.
here in Austin, Texas. Trusted servant, has been working with KOZ since, I don't know, I was like 9 when you started KOZ, right?
You were in my first KOZ.
Yeah, he was one of the founding fathers.
One of the kids. Yes.
So, but we had a really something that's been on our hearts for a while, and I know it's been a topic of KOZ groups for a really long time, and it's what do you do with the older boys? I mean, what do you do with the boys after they've come to KOZ for a couple of years and they've done archery over and over and over, and we really started recognizing that that the older boys need other challenges. They need other things to happen in their lives to keep them interested in KOZ, to be able to keep them interested where we could continue to influence them in the way of KOZ and the way of the Lord and all the things that come from participating in KOZ. And both these guys have had some really cool success stories with older boys, and they have some things that they've found are really effective in the time they spend with the older boys. And so I wanted to touch base on that stuff with you guys. So regular KOZ Saturday for me, the thought process has always been the older KOZ boys, even if they haven't been with us a really long time, is we move them really quick into a position of responsibility. Like, hey, help me set up this. Hey, take this over there, and really use the older boys, to make them feel like they're participating.
Well, and the older boys also have another dynamic going on too, right? They get perfume in their nose, and they get their driver's license, and they get a job, and you have all this distraction that starts kicking in too. And so we've had a lot of history with losing some of those boys, not keeping them engaged, but we found a few things that really keep them plugged in. I think it's worthwhile to share those things and to give some insight.
Yeah, and it's just a natural thing for them to be distracted by the things of the world. Their hormones start moving around in their little bodies, and things start changing. And so, what are some of the things that you have done, Rick, in your or Don? I mean, give us a just kind of what have you seen over the years? I mean, you've seen your boys.
I think you hit it. The things of what captured them before aren't necessarily capturing them, and I've learned that if you try to keep them in there too long, you have a negative effect. You're holding them back. I like to think of it now as kind of you're tethering them. You're just snapping on and just keeping a lifeline in there. And I also have found that it's important, if I go through some of the things that I had written down, is that I prepared and did my homework. I'm not
36 top things.
I have 5 points, or 9 bullet points actually, and one of them is a coyote club, and have something where the older boys are part of something that's outside, and if they're coyotes, then and they've risen to that level, then we get to do things with them, or they get on trips where nobody else can get to, and it has to be. I've learned it has to be set. And it has to be, really purposeful. You have to set forth on what you're doing, and if they're not a coyote, don't let them in, and limit the amount, they're going.
And we know that, and we've seen that too, even with the little boys, that, a big brother who's 9 gets into KOZ, and then his 6-year-old, 7-year-old little brothers just can't wait to be a part of KOZ.
Uh-huh.
And and the anticipation is a beautiful thing, because then when he turns 8, he gets to go to his first KOZ, you know, and it's just beautiful
It's cool
to watch that. So yeah, well, Rick, what is something that you've done with some of your coyotes, some of your older boys, your LITs, leaders in training?
So yeah, we in every group, I think there's usually an age break where you've got this older class. This, you know, and for us, last year it was about, it was probably about 14 or 15 years and up, and we did a fish camp. We actually took them, and we were working on a deer blind at a farm there in South Boston, Virginia, and we finished up the deer blind. They did things the younger boys we were a little uncertain about doing, so they got up on top of it and nailed the shingles in. We turned them loose with spray paint and just had a great time. But we made it a fish camp too, so we took them and we put them on 2 older boys in a canoe or a boat by themselves. So there's just an added level of responsibility, an added level of privilege. And we didn't have the younger boys with us. It was not a KOZ Saturday, or wasn't a KOZ weekend. We made it a special trip out with just 5 of our older boys, and we even did a little journey down to a riverbed, and it doesn't flow real heavy, but it's kind of a creek bottom, and let those boys fish without a lot of oversight and just looking over it. We didn't bait any of their hooks. They just did They did what boys learn how to do in KOZ. They just demonstrated it, and got the freedom of doing it like a little band of brothers, and had a little, you know, you can do fishing competitions now, because a little tournament, who catches the biggest fish gets first in line at chow. And so it was just, we just took the older boys, and kind of coming off what you said, doing a separate adventure is what I would really capture it as. Taking those boys, and they don't have any responsibilities for a younger boy on that outing. They're just getting to live in that freedom and in that adventure that fits their age group.
You know, outside of, I understand the Coyote Club and having a group like that, but there are some times, and I don't always recommend, you know, one-on-one time, but I've learned some things that you can do that are one-on-one time. One is, and TJ knows about this, when they turn 18, I do something called the 50 wing challenge. And TJ has been there or witnessed it before.
So you're eating 50 wings?
Well,
yes,
he eats his 50, and then any that they don't eat?
No, I try, I learn, I think it's a learning experience. You've got a challenge, you've got something you need to do, and it's put down in front of you, and as a man, you need to finish the job. And so many of them may quit, right, in the middle or something, and so I'm going to show them what being a real man is, and that is finishing the challenge and the job.
Well,
and so I eat the rest of them, and then go home and lay on the couch for 2 hours and groan and take Pepto-Bismol, and
that's awesome.
So, but I think it teaches, and it's a little one-on-one.
I love that, and I've done that same thing where I take a group of the boys, like when I do a camp or something like that. I'll take the 2 or 3, 4 boys that can take an extra couple of days, and we'll drive to Colorado, or we'll go do something. We'll take a couple of days in the mountains. But you've done it. You've gone. You take certain boys. You'll take them. They'll be on a deer hunt. You'll take 2 or 3 of them and a leader with you, and you'll go on a deer hunt, or go to the ranch, to the KOZ ranch, and hog hunt with them.
It is purposeful. I mean, you do have to do it that
absolutely
way and set it up. In fact, at our deer lease, kids weren't allowed there, but after we got the first kid in and they saw the impact, each hunter decided they wanted to burn a tag, take one of their tags away and give it back to KOZ, and on a special weekend we could come out there and have 3 or 4 kids hunt.
So now wait, let's clarify a legal part here, that they just didn't use one of their tags, so the boy could use one of his, because there's a limit of how many
they
deer
have to
could
give
be
one
taken,
back. Yeah.
how many deer they could take off of their
Sorry, I didn't really get into that. You know,
there's game wardens. They're going to be calling you.
Hello. Hey, and one other thing on a deer camp is I've learned that taking one of the boys that's coming of age, you know, a little bit 15, like you talked about, 14, 15, and they have an interest in wildlife and game management and think they may want to get into that, We've set up we have a place out in Blanco that we go and set up every year. And I've taken one of the boys out there and we've set up cameras, and then I give him a chip. Like, we pull the chips and then give it back to him, and he would count antlers, like the ratio of antlers and points, and keep a spreadsheet of it. And all
So
that.
it's an opportunity to fine tune the relationship with the boys, to give you opportunities to speak into their lives, whether it's one-on-one or you take two of the junior leaders. I know, Rick, you go out to the farm out there in Virginia. Is one of the things that you do with the boys, and you'll do food plots. You guys will do brush hogging. You'll build stuff, and it's just what we're trying to do is just encourage you guys to find things that you can use, and it may be once or twice a year that you tell the older boys, hey, you come and help every month at KOZ, and we'll go do our deer hunt this year. You come help, and you lead that. And we've seen some huge success stories come out of these boys. Now, you're not going to get every one of them, just like you're not going to get every young boy. Don't let that take you out. Right. The success stories, one or two boys, this year we had two of them in one class graduate from college, both on a outdoor trajectory with game wardens and outdoor
management,
wildlife management and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And man, those things, you're just like, thank you, Jesus.
Yes.
And you're not going to get them all, but man, if you will take those boys, and you'll know who they are. One of them may be 15, one of them may be 17. You'll know who those boys that are keying in, and they're stepping up a little bit, and feed into that. And if they know that there's a fishing trip, one Saturday, you guys help for a couple of months, and we'll go do a little river fishing trip, or we'll do an overnight camp out on with canoes or something.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
You know what a cool add to that adventure is before, as you set that up and plan it, give the boys some scripture and have them lead a devotion that night.
Yeah.
That is just so good for them to, and some of them will pour into more of it and some of them less. But if they do nothing but read that word and kind of give their perspective, it's a beautiful just way for him to start unpack, and not just watching us as leaders unpack the Word of God, but also them among their peers wrestling with what the Word's saying and what it means in their life. So just an easy add for a KOZ older boy to step his game up a little bit in his spiritual life.
To add or hitch on to that, what we did is add some of the leaders in training, the younger guys that are really showing like they're really doing all the things. We invite them into the pre-prayer time before KOZ, so they can hear how men plan, what their hearts are, what they say. It changes their perspective on that.
So good.
And
absolutely.
When about 17, 18, that's the years that they're moving around a lot. And one of the things I've learned is to offer to write a college letter of recommendation. And if they're coming and they show the character that is worthy of me putting it down, then, and I've already written the letter, but they have to live up to it. And then I've done that for a couple people. It really enhances that opportunity for a 17 to 18-year-old, and gets them thinking about college too, if that's their
or trade school, or a job recommendation.
Yeah.
In fact, several of our KOZ leaders become recommendations, letter writers, or whatever. So you get a chance to pour in, speak into that, and you can be intentional with an older boy and say, hey, when you need this, let me know. And I'll
because we really are community service in a way. We're looked at when we do things for the crowd, when they're helping the boys, and in college that makes a big difference, or a job, or a trade school, or anything that you're moving into,
Absolutely.
Well, I think the point is, be intentional with your older boys. We've got guys that have been doing this for years. We've seen them. I have one of the original KOZ boys who is now married with kids, working in a bank in Dallas, Texas. And I saw him I hadn't seen him in years, and I saw him not long ago, and he said, I just want you to know that I think about KOZ and what I learned there all the time.
Yeah.
He's not leading at his church. He's leading young couples at his church. He's doing other things. He's not leading a KOZ group. But what we did, the time we spent with him, was a part of the map that he used to navigate how to go into manhood, how to be a man. And so you guys have this incredible opportunity to guide these boys, and don't give up on them when they start getting a little older and not wanting to be around. We want to be smart, and we want to use things that speak their language and draw them into and give us more opportunities. 'Cause I can tell you, there's nothing better, and I know that both of you guys have seen these older boys come on the other side, come through this. I mean, look at Matthew. Never hunted. Him and his dad never hunted, never fished. Started hunting and fishing. Started getting involved in outdoor stuff. And man, he is.
They're an outdoor family now.
An outdoor family. They're gonna lead. He leads that way. It's been so good for him and his father, and Vitali and Brock. Both those guys graduating college with, and there was times where there was questions on what their lives were going to be and where they were going to go. But one thing that was consistent in their life was the KOZ men. They were always there.
About KOZ men and consistency, one thing I had to learn over time is that instead of weaving in and out, up and down, and going out and searching what will work, you have to set a trajectory and an altitude of where you want to be spiritually, what plane you want to work on, and have them join you there. You don't need to go down to a level where you're maybe not doing the things you were doing before, or you're trying to chase something. You're rising, you're moving it to a whole nother level, and they need to join or tether onto you.
Well, they're watching what a man who is on a journey for Jesus does.
And we're just inviting them into it.
We're inviting them into
it. But you have to be careful not to go all over the place, right? Stick to that trajectory and follow it, and they will join you. When they see that and you're true to it, that's exactly what they are looking for, is the opportunity to join and be real and be part of something that's bigger and what they can be proud of.
And one last thing, we had years ago, a leader who spent some time with some KOZ boys, some older boys on a ranch, and had this incredible time talking about girls and sex and all the stuff going on with the boy at that age, and just had some really spirit-led conversations with them, around the campfire and in the deer stand or whatever, and then when the young boys were reintroduced, that topic came back up, and what we recognized at that moment was that was not the topic to have with the 8-year-olds or the 10-year-olds or 11 or even
age appropriate. Yeah.
So it had to be age appropriate, and it was such a beautiful message that we really learned that peeling those boys off and being able to have different conversations was the proper way to have those conversations with those boys.
I'm still getting told that the fireside chats are something that I mentioned, and they took a different detour in their college life, or when they were out at work or something. They'll come by, hey, Mr. Don, and I'll hear that, and that's hope, and it's really good news for the guy that's investing in the second half of KOZ.
Well, guys, we just want you to know we're available. You can email Don D at kidsoutdoorzone.com, Rick at kidsoutdoorzone.com, TJ at kidsoutdoorzone.com. We just love you guys. We love the mission. We're on the mission with you. And we want to hear your stories too. As you navigate through this, we want to know what you're doing so we could share that with other leaders. So don't keep it to yourself.
No.
Send us good and bad stories. We want to learn from our mistakes too, and
we if it's a bad story, we can tell them TJ did it.
I've
It's
done
just,
them all already.
Right.
So you haven't made a mistake that we haven't made already. I haven't made
Right. You
already.
can't make any mistakes. You got to love everybody.
Right.
Everybody deserves a little bit, no matter what.
Just don't kiss me, Don.
Not again. All right, guys. It's KOZ TV. We love you guys. Keep us posted. And regulators,
Mount up.
mount up.